Ladies and gentlemen, Android 13 is just around the corner, and with that is the upcoming beta for OneUI 5, which will of course be based upon Android 13. And 9 to 5 Google has a really nice article showing off some of the things they've already spotted, big changes coming to OneUI, to your premium Samsung phones. And there's one in particular that I want to spend a little bit more time on. It's something we've talked about in the past, and it looks like it's coming to fruition. So let's look at this article here. First, like I said, this is Samsung's OneUI 5 based on Android 13 and everything we found new. I will leave a link to this article in the description. Please click that link, go to this article, scroll through it, read it for yourself, because there are going to be some things I'm going to purposefully leave out to give you an incentive to go read the original article. Now, it is important to note that this is not from any publicly released beta. This was actually sent to them to test out, and so some of this is pre-release. Some of the stuff may change. For one, it's a pre-release because it's a beta, but two, it's not even really a beta. It's like a beta of a beta. It's an unreleased beta, so that's doubly tenuous in terms of what is actually going to make it to the end here. When the beta does roll out, S22 probably going to be in line, perhaps some other later phones as well, but we just don't know that yet. So going down the list of what they've got here, this is the difference between OneUI 4 and 5 in terms of your notification shade. And the biggest thing that I think you're going to see here is the fact that they're actually grouping their notifications by where they're coming from, right? So on the left, you can see Reddit, Instagram. They're all just sort of in there, mixed up and confusing. Well, in Android 13 on OneUI 5, this is going to be grouped together to make this much easier to parse. There are some other visual changes as well that you can see, but I think that is probably by far the biggest thing you're going to see there. This is a rather interesting one that I use in Google Photos with some regularity. If I take a photo of something that has text in it, sometimes I'll do this because I actually want the text that's in there. So then what I can do is I can hit Google Lens and I can pull the text out. Well, Samsung is going to be building that same functionality into their stock gallery app. Personally, I think duplication of features like this is a little bit silly. Most of us are using Google Photos anyways, but I guess if you don't want to use the Photos version and you want to use Samsung's version, it's going to be there, and hopefully it will work maybe as well as what Google is doing. All that being said, this is the big one for me. And you may be wondering, why is this that big of a deal to you? How many people on their candy bar phones use split screen? And that's a fair criticism, but this is new multitasking gestures. You can see here, swipe for split screen. Swipe up with 2 fingers from the bottom of the screen to change to split screen view. Swipe again to switch apps, and this can be toggled on or off. And you also have swipe up from the corner towards the middle to change to pop-up view, to go into that little floating window. So again, why is this that big of a deal? Well, I'll tell you. It's not a big deal because it's going to be on the S22 Ultra. That's fine. That's whatever. It's a big deal because it's going to be on something like the Fold 4. This feature, this type of thing was rumored months back to be something that was going to launch on the Fold 4. And trust me when I tell you, it is going to make a really big difference. And we've already seen something sort of like this on the Oppo Find N. Let me play back a little bit of a video from the Unlocker and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about here. So on the Oppo Find N, you could pinch in as he did there. Let's go back so you can see this, to go into that pop-up view, right? That's quite nice. Well, we're gonna have something like that on the Fold now. But I think far and away the most important one for a device like this, for a large device, is this gesture here. On the Oppo Find N, it was a 2-finger swipe from the bottom, and one app slides over and it leaves you open on the other one. Basically, you now see the desktop on your cover display, and it's going to look really similar to something like a Surface Duo at that point. You can then launch a second app right then and there, and you've got a really nice multitasking experience. This is, in my humble opinion, better than what we have on the Fold currently. Currently, if you have one app that's open, if you want to open up that second app, you have to swipe in your little taskbar, and depending on what your setting is, either select an app or drag an app over. I think this is better because it's one gesture, and if they do it like this, where it slides over and you get your desktop, you're just interacting with your desktop again instead of a secondary list of apps that is not something that is quite as intuitive. Currently, this is sort of how this works on the Fold. You have this little sidebar, which I'm actually going to go ahead and just pin to kind of give it what I think is the best case scenario. So you can launch an app and then you can go over here to your other apps, and then you can grab one of them, and you can either tap it to switch, which you can change the setting between switching apps directly or going automatically into split screen. This is your preference, but let's just say we've got Twitter open here, and my preference is to actually tap to just switch them out. Then let's long press and drag it, and then you can manually split screen, or you can put it in the middle to go to a pop-up view. Now, what is it about this particular setup that I think is inferior to what Oppo has and to what Samsung is going to be doing? Well, your desktop your launcher is what you're used to looking at. You're used to that layout. With this, it's a secondary list of apps. And sure, you can become really fluent with that second list of apps and get really good with it, and I totally did. My experience with Surface Duo just tells me that their setup is better, and this is more similar to that. I've got my launcher, and I launch an app, and if I want to launch the other app, I just have my launcher still. There's nothing new, nothing has changed. It's just still my launcher, so there's absolutely nothing to adjust to. And theoretically, this could bring Samsung closer to that. We're not adding on another secondary launcher. We're just going to let you do a swipe and see your launcher again. I think that is a really good way to go. Now, it's possible that this swipe to go to split screen, it's just going to show you another secondary window, secondary list of apps, maybe something like the taskbar. If that's what they're going to do, well, I'm just going to tell you that's not going to be as good. Now, unfortunately, this feature is not up and running yet. It's there in the settings, but it doesn't actually function in this build. So it's hard to say which way this is going to go. But I do believe it's something that if Samsung gets it right, the multitasking is going to take a big step in the right direction on the Fold, a step in the direction of what Oppo has already done. And honestly, it makes total sense to me. This is a big device. Android, we're getting these apps being updated for dual panel to take better use, you could say, of the large screen real estate. But to me, the advantage of a big screen like this is multitasking. That's why I'm such a Duo fan. That's why I loved my Fold. I liked split screen multitasking, and I know that you can pair two apps to automatically launch in split screen. I get that, but I'm talking flexibility. I'm talking flow, right? That's what I want to see, and Samsung may be really about to improve that exact thing with One UI 5. Hopefully we'll know more in the coming weeks and months as we get closer to Android 13 and the betas of One UI 5. Of course, my Fold is a Fold 2, and it has not received an update of any kind. It is unlocked, but I am still on the May update. I've not received anything in a long time. So will I get the One UI 5 beta here? Almost certainly not, because that's not what Samsung does. They say, hey, we know you spent damn near $2,000 on that phone not that long ago, a year and a half or so, but don't worry about it. You're going to get updates when we feel like giving them to you. Betas? Pfft, no, that's for the S22. That's for our flagship, nothing else. I'm kind of joking. I'm kind of being serious. Guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.